round of applause. How about you, my brother? What's your name? And why did you join Max?
My name is Edmond. Okay, I joined Max because the product was very hurtful. Okay. I gave it to a woman who had 4 years of stroke, and within 2 months, she was okay.
That's great. That's great. So we have somebody who joined for the money, another who joined because the products were good. All well and good. But this morning, I have another question. Can I see by hand how many Max associates are here? If you're a Max associate, put up your hand. Let me see. Thank you very much. Well, I didn't come here to speak to Max associates. So if you are here and you're a Max associate, you may as well leave the room because this session is not for you. I'm sorry. So do I have some Max associates in the house? Well, I'm not speaking to Max associates because when you define yourself as a Max associate, you are limiting yourself as to how far this business actually goes. This whole thing about network marketing is not about Max. It's not about longevity. It's not about this place. It's far bigger. It's far, far bigger than whatever you have conceptualized. And so, for so long as you consider yourself a Max associate, you have defined your possibilities. You have defined how much you can actually get out of this opportunity. And so that's the first thing I want you to take out of your mind. You are not a Max associate. You are a business builder. You are a business executive, the CEO of your own business, the CEO of You Incorporated. You are an entrepreneur, or at least you are trying to become an entrepreneur. That is what you are. Max, or being a Max associate, is just how you get paid. It's because you have plugged your value, you have plugged yourself, your being, into a system that is paying you for the value that you are giving, the value that you are offering. And so that is why you are here today. But that is not who you are. And so you must know who you are so that it helps you to know what you can achieve or how far you can go. This sounds simple, but it's really the definition of what it is that we are here to do. And as we go through this presentation or this session, I'm hoping that somebody will catch this revelation and begin all over again to build the business the right way. Because how you define yourself will reflect in the way you build your business. And it will also reflect in the outcomes that you are going to get. So that 5 years from today, when you look back on this day, you will say that indeed it was this session that made me realize what it is that I'm here to do. That is my mission here this morning. And so let's get started with the main presentation. Here we are talking about being wealth-minded, so we must understand what exactly it is that wealth is. Now, my lady, what's your name again? Florence, yes. Florence said that she came chasing the money. But now she has found something better than money, so she's happy with her decision, right? So my first question then is, what is money? Florence, are you going to start for us? What is money?
Money is anything that is generally accepted for transaction.
This definition is very, very broad. Anything that is generally accepted for transaction. So cowrie is money. Okay, I guess it makes sense, right? How about you? What is money?
Money is a currency that we use to buy.
Money is a currency that is used to buy. Okay, but not to sell. You're not so near bad. Okay, so now we must first of all understand that money is nothing. Money is just a means of setting some kind of standard, right? You know, money or cash does not have any inherent value. You know, if I took out a 100 CD bill or $100 bill or whatever bill that it is, it doesn't mean anything. You know, it's just paper. That something has been printed on it to represent something. So money is a representation of something. And what is that something? What is that thing that money is representing? Now, that is the real question. What is that thing that money is representing? I hope you get the drift. The paper itself is nothing. It's just paper. You know, but that paper has been used to represent something. It's kind of like when the president is elected. The president sits in the Jubilee House, right? He cannot be everywhere at the same time, but there must be somebody that can represent the president at every point or at every geographical location within this country. And that is why there's the local government system where there's the regional minister, there's the DCE or MCE, there's the unit committee chairman, there's the assemblyman. All these people are not the president, but they are representing the president. And so when the president speaks through these people, that message that has gone out is as real as the president himself speaking to you. Does that make sense? But that person cannot hold himself as the president. And so money or cash is a representation of something, which means that if you don't know what that something is, you are going to go about chasing the money like Florence came in looking for, but then you would have missed it, because money is the consequence of whatever that thing or of that thing that it represents. So why would you want to look at the image and not the original? Does that make sense? And that is where a lot of us missed it, myself included, because we came in here chasing the money. We didn't know that the money was simply a representation of something else. And so we made money the focus, and many of us are still chasing money. And in fact, many people are chasing money because they haven't realized that money is just a representation. Money is just an image. If you took away the thing that money represents, if tomorrow, if the president loses the election, the DCE is he no longer has any authority. He no longer has any power. A different DCE has to be put in that position, because that person or the thing he was representing is no more. Which is why when you leave Ghana, you can no longer spend cedis. Because the thing that CD represents, or the thing that CD is representing, is no longer valid in the new jurisdiction that you have arrived in. And so the cash itself is not important as the thing it represents. And so the question is, what is that thing that the cash is representing? Does anybody have an idea what I'm talking about? Pardon me? What am I talking about? Value. Value is the thing that money is representing. And so then my next question would obviously be, what is value? And so now I'm moving on from Florence to the next line. My brother, what do you think is value? Can you define value?
What's
your name, sir?
Delamaxo.
Delamaxo. Okay, what is value?
Value, something important.
Almost there,
Yeah,
but not there
something.
yet. Let's see, what's your name?
Ibrahim.
So what is value?
It's a valuable idea.
Oh, but you are repeating that. My sister, what is value?
So I think value is the worth of something.
Similar to what he said. Yeah, almost there, but you're not there yet. What is value?
I think value is the importance of something.
You people are not giving me the thing. You are saying it's the importance of something, but importance of something, what does it mean? It's the importance of something to the person who is assessing that's something. Because if you came here right now, you are selling shoe, I'm wearing shoe, I don't need a shoe, so that shoe is not valuable to me. But if you gave that shoe to somebody who is not wearing a shoe, that shoe is very valuable to that person. And so value is determined by the person who is assessing whatever item that it is that you are presenting. Does that make sense? And so if you were to apply for a job right now, you go in there with all your qualifications and everything, and you sit in front of the panel. You might think you are valuable for the job you are going for. Now, does the panel think you are valuable for the position you are applying for? If the panel thinks you are valuable for the position you are applying for based on whatever it is that you presented, then the two of you will agree, and then you get the job. Do you get what I'm saying? But if you believe you are valuable, but the people don't think your value is needed over there, you don't get the job. Same thing when it comes to buying and selling. If you are selling me, if you are selling me something and I don't think I need that thing, I'm going to rate the thing of low value to me. And so I'm not going to spend a lot of money on that thing. The money I have, or the money I'm going to pay for that thing, is dependent on how much value I place on whatever it is that you are selling to me. Does that make sense? And you also will not sell to me if whatever I'm offering is too low, because you have placed the value on the item you are selling. And so that is why we negotiate, so that when we reach somewhere where you think the value that we have agreed on, or the money you have agreed on, matches the value you have placed on the item, and I also think the money I'm paying matches the value of the item, then we meet, and then we are happy and we go. So the point I'm trying to make is that when you focus on creating value or adding value or giving value, then money will automatically chase you. But if you focus on getting money without equivalent value, the money will leave you. Typical case in question, sports betting. It's a controversial subject everywhere you go. It's also controversial here. Now, you take 20 Ghana cedis. Then you bet on a match between Manchester United and Norwich City. You assume that Manchester United is going to win because you have a big name. Then you put all your money in Manchester United. Now, you as an individual, you are not directly involved in the game of between Manchester United and Norwich City. So basically, you are hoping that your prediction will come to pass because you don't have any control on the outcome, right? So you put the 20 Ghana cedis on it. Chances are Manchester United could win and you will get 1,000 Ghana cedis and everybody is happy. But it's also possible that Norwich City will beat Manchester United and then you lose all your money. But the point is, there is a direct relationship between money and value. And this is how the relationship goes. How many of you remember this symbol? What does this symbol mean? Equilibrium, yes. And so, should Manchester United win and you get your money, right? You will get money, so money goes up. If value does not go up at the same time, this thing is no longer in balance. But because your value was not part of the decision for Manchester United to win, it means that the value cannot go up. And so what's going to happen is that before long, the money that you just earned, the 1,000 Ghana cedis you just earned, you will lose it again. Why? Because you will try to invest again in the betting company or another game, and then you lose all your 1,000 Ghana cedis. How many wealthy men do you know who acquire their wealth through sports betting? Or any form of betting for that matter. In fact, research has shown that when you go to the USA, they do a lot of research, USA and UK, the 70% of people who win the Mega Million Dollar lottery, they are worse off 10 years after they win than they were before they won. Because there was no value exchange. There was no value increase to match the new money that they had gotten for themselves. And so we need to understand these things. So when you come into a business like Max International, you come in and you may have come in to look for because of the money. When you enter and you start going through this training, you realize that the money is not enough to give you what you are looking for. Because the money is temporary. You can come into Max today and earn 10,000 cedis today. But that 10,000 cedis will make you, put you in a worse position because you'll be tempted to do the same things you did to get that 10,000. So assuming those things you did were not right things, you are going to now develop a culture in your organization that is going to perpetuate that wrong thing. And so before long, that 10,000 cedis is gone. And because you want to maintain it, you're going to now go and borrow money to invest in your Max business. And so you end up in debt 5 years from the time, from 5 years later, you are in a worse position because you are using the wrong technique to attract the money instead of developing yourself. That's why they say that network marketing is a personal development business that comes with a paycheck. And if you miss this, you really are going to struggle. We all missed it for a long time. But now, thanks to God, we found good information, and we are learning to become better people. And that's why we are here this morning to learn about how to move forward. And so let's define wealth. What is wealth? Can somebody define wealth for me? We say we are discussing wealth, being wealth-minded. What is wealth? How do we define wealth? Yes, sir.
So wealth is your ability to convert virtue into value.
Not exactly.
That is exchanging a product or service.
Not exactly. I know what you are saying, but not exactly.
Okay.
We are not there yet. Anybody else? Okay, so let's go into the Bible. Let's go into the Bible. What is wealth? The first mention of wealth is in Genesis 20-something. And that word wealth, that word that was translated to wealth is the Hebrew word hayil. And this word hayil, when it's translated to English, translates to virtue. So, mathematical logic, if wealth is equal to hayil and hayil is equal to virtue, then automatically wealth is equal to virtue. So wealth is not that deep, it's virtue. But you see, many of us never had this understanding of wealth, and so we think wealth is money. Wealth is not money. Wealth is virtue. Now, if wealth is virtue, can you become wealthy by doing the wrong things? Hello? I'm not hearing you. Can you become wealthy by doing the wrong things? No. It's not possible because wealth is equal to virtue. But you see, because again, we didn't have this understanding of the word wealth, every time any wealthy man is mentioned, especially if the man is Ghanaian, our first instinct is this man must have done drugs. You've said it before. Don't look at me like I'm the only one who has said it. Whenever they mention any wealthy man's name, your first thing is, this man must have done Sakawa. This man has done something negative. And so we malign a lot of our rich people. How are you ever going to become wealthy when you are sitting down maligning other people who are fulfilling their wealth? The Bible actually tells us that wealth is how God rewards his children when they offer service to his other children. And you, because you don't have this understanding, you are maligning people who are offering, a friend is saying, who are being useful in the lives of God's children. And God has decided to reward him. You are sitting somewhere, you don't know the relation between that person and his God, and you are talking anyhow. Do you see the problem here? So do you think that based on all the things you have said in the past, you are a candidate for wealth? Now, you answer that one. Oh, but we know the answer already. And so from today, wealth is virtue. In fact, the English definition of wealth is an abundance of good things. This is English. This is not even biblical. An abundance of good things. That tells you that even the dictionary understands the root word wealth, but we didn't. And that has always been the problem. So now we come to wealth creation, which is what my brother was trying to define. Wealth creation. What is wealth creation? So now you can tell us what you were telling us.
Okay, so then wealth creation is the ability to convert virtue into value.
So now you understand why the virtue is in wealth creation. So it is your ability to now convert that virtue that you now have. You convert it into commercial products or services. And then the sale of these products or services now comes to you in the form of money because value is leaving you. And when value leaves, there's a relation between value and money. Value will always command its worth in gold. So value will always bring the money back to you because the universe recognizes that something has gone out of you and that thing must come back in equivalent terms, in money. But you see, the other thing about this whole equation is that when money is physical, value is not physical. Do you realize it? Anything that is physical deteriorates. Anything that is physical will deteriorate. And so when you receive money and you leave the money in the physical terms of cash, that cash will deteriorate. That's why we have inflation, depreciation, all those things come in. So that the money that the 1,000 cedis you had yesterday, which was equivalent to $100, today when you convert that same 1,000 cedis, it's now worth $50. Hasn't it happened to you before? So you cannot leave your value in physical terms. You have to convert it back to intangible form, which is the value we are talking about. But that's a session for a whole other day. And so at least now we understand wealth. You understand wealth creation. Now, how can you operate as a wealth-minded individual? That's why we are here this morning. So let's do this quickly. Now, the first thing you need to do if you want to operate as a wealth-minded individual, number one thing you want to do, and if you learn nothing from me today, this is what I want you to take away from me. You must know where you are going. Your destination needs to be clearly defined. Destination also means your vision. When I woke up this morning, I knew that there was a program here at Max International that I was billed to speak at. So when I woke up, I made sure I woke up early, because my area is a new developing area, and they've been blocking the roads because they are now constructing the road. So if I don't wake up and leave early, I might never get here. So because I knew where I was going, I automatically knew the challenges along the way to where I was going. Imagine I didn't know where I was going. How would I have known that there are challenges along the way? Do you get the connection between knowing your destination and even knowing when to set off? Because I knew where I was going, and I knew that if I wear white shirt, I might appear here with a discolored shirt. I automatically wore a brown shirt so that when the dust enters the shirt, Charlie camouflage, because I knew where I was going. Imagine I didn't know where I was going and I wore a white shirt, and then I appeared here. Would you have listened to me? So just knowing where I'm going, I automatically knew what I should wear. Now, because I knew where I was going and who I was going to talk to, I had to make sure that what I was going to say made sense to them. Because these are business-minded, business builders, people who are generational thinkers. And so I cannot come and stand here and do some myopic surface discussion. So I had to go and open my Bible and prepare properly so that I don't come and give you English. That's for English. Everybody knows English. But Bible, no. If we meet for Bible study right now, I'll floor you. So I had to, because I prepared. Because I knew where I was going. So my destination determined my preparation. Does that make sense? But when I joined Max International, I didn't have this understanding. So the preparation I had was just a matter of escaping poverty. So I came to Max because I was hustling. Charlie, when I came to Max, I was in debt. You've heard my story before. I was in debt. It wasn't easy. But that's 7 years ago. It's history now. I'm not going to repeat it because, Charlie, we have to change the narrative. But the point I was making was that I was in debt, so I came to Max to escape poverty. And have you realized that whatever you are running away from will continue to chase you? Have you realized that? Who has been chased by a dog before? Let me see by hand. Oh, why people? You're not cool people. Now, when a dog is chasing you and you keep running, what does the dog do? But if you are bold enough to stop running, what happens? It gets distracted by other things. And so what you are running away from will always pursue you, as the Niger people will say. Let's flip the script. What you are running to, what happens to it? Pardon me? I can't hear you. So when you are running towards something, what happens? You approach that thing, or that thing approaches you. So if I came to Max, or if you came to Max to escape poverty, guess what? Every time you look over your shoulders, who do you see there? Poverty. So you can never outrun your problem because that is your focus. If that's your focus, how can you outrun your focus? But if you came to Max and you were wealth-minded and you're looking forward to something over there and you are running towards that thing, what is going to happen? You are going to approach that thing and eventually you are going to touch that thing. And so when it comes to crafting your vision, again, this is a whole big subject we cannot complete today, but my aim is to give you the bullet points so that you can go home and go and explore, go and do your own research. Does that make sense? So when you're setting a vision, you don't run away from something, you run towards something, because what you are running towards is what you are going to approach, what you are going to touch. So don't be escaping poverty, because the Bible says that the poor you will always have with you. So how can you run away from them? You can't, because they'll always be there. You think there are no poor people in Beverly Hills? They are there. You think there are no poor people on Rodeo Drive? I've been there. They are there. You get what I'm saying? And so you cannot outrun poverty. I was listening to yesterday. I was watching a TikTok video which blew my mind. It says that what's his name? Jeff Bezos has $200 billion. Now, if and there are 7 billion people in the world. If Jeff Bezos gave $1 billion to everybody in the world, he will still have $193 billion. So Jeff Bezos is selfish. And I was like, the reason why that thing hits me is that if Jeff Bezos, with his $200 billion, has not ended world poverty, whom am I to come and end world poverty? No, it's not mine. As my mentor will say, any problem that cannot wait for your money to mature is not yours to solve. So be careful the problems you are trying to solve. they may not be yours to solve in the first place. Any problem that cannot wait for your money to mature is not yours to solve. Now, the reason why the number one thing that you have to do is to know your vision, or know your destination. I prefer calling destination because it paints a clearer picture. When you know where you're going, at this point number 2, when you know where you're going, then you know what skills, what knowledge is required for you to actually get to that destination. If I want to go to Kumasi, I won't go to the station and go and sit in a whole car. It doesn't make sense because geographically there's no connection between Ho and Kumasi. Even the government of Ghana has not constructed a road between Ho and Kumasi. That alone is an indication that you cannot go to Kumasi from Ho. Please, any Ho person here? I know there's one person from Ho. Where is the gentleman? Emmanuel, where is he? Is there a car from Ho to Kumasi Street? No. So it is not possible. So if your destination is Kumasi, you have no business sitting in a whole car. If your aim is to become a sales executive, you have no business in a medical class. If your aim is to become a nurse, you don't go and learn accounting. So your vision, your destination will determine the skills, the knowledge you are going. And I'm talking about specific knowledge here. I'm talking about specific knowledge because there's general knowledge, there's specific knowledge. So I'm talking about specific knowledge. I'll talk about general knowledge later. So your destination determines the skills you acquire. If you want to be a public speaker, you have to learn the skills of being a public speaker. If you want to be a network marketer, you have to understand what network marketing is. And I can tell you that many of us don't even know what network marketing is. Because even for me, that I've been in the business for the past 7 years, it's taking me a long time to come and finally understand what network marketing is. And we'll talk, I gave you a hint in my previous points, but we'll talk about it some more as we go along. And so your destination determines your skill, the skill that you need. If you want to be a doctor, you have to go to medical school. There is no doctor there's no doctor who is learning law. You don't finish law and earn an MBCHB. When you finish law, you get a different kind of degree. So if you're a lawyer and you go and wear a white coat and go and sit in the consulting room and start taking history, you'll be called a quack. Meanwhile, you're not a quack because you are qualified as something else. And so your destination is very, very, very important. You have to make use of the destination to determine where you are going. Now, wealth creation obeys laws. So if your aim is to become wealthy, there are laws that you have to obey. Just like how you can't cross a red light and otherwise the police will catch you, you cannot also become wealthy if you don't obey the laws. And so you must identify the laws. Maybe your vision is not to become wealthy. Well, my vision is to become wealthy, and so I need to understand the laws. And you see, it's a science. Wealth creation is a science. And it's a science because once you obey the laws, it doesn't matter whether you're a male or female, short or tall, dark or fair skin. It doesn't matter whether you're born in Ghana or you're born in Azerbaijan or you're born in Los Angeles. Once you obey the laws, you will become wealthy. And art is a different thing altogether. This same session that I'm giving, somebody can give it and give it better because it's an art. He may have practiced the art longer, so he's more skilled in the art. I don't need to assume somebody's position before I can become wealthy. I just need to obey the laws. And the laws are very, very simple and straightforward. A law basically is a statement that is made after observing outcomes or observing experiments. So you make that statement based on facts, not based on opinion, not based on feelings. Today I feel like saying that when you make money and you plant the money in the ground, you become rich. So everybody goes to plant the money in the ground. Is that how to become rich? No. But there are laws that guide wealth creation. And the laws are there for everybody to see. Law number 1, a portion of everything you earn is yours to keep. That's that's the fundamental rule of wealth creation. I'm not going to tell you how to do. I'm not teaching about wealth creation. I'm teaching about being wealth-minded. So I'm just going to give you law number 1. The rest, you have to find it yourself. But there are laws that guide wealth creation, and you have to find those laws if you plan on becoming wealthy, because that is the only way you can actually become wealthy. The point number 3 that we are talking about this morning, to be wealth-minded, you have to mind your crowd. You have to mind your crowd. Simple analogy. You've heard this before. When you work with 5 successful people, who is the 6th person? You. So you have to mind your crowd. There's something called transferred poverty. How many of you have heard about transferred poverty before? You've heard about transferred poverty. What is transferred poverty?
Okay. Transfer poverty is you be in the poverty, you couldn't change it, then your generation can pick it up.
So he's saying that when you are in poverty, you couldn't change it. Then when you're born child, because of your poverty, the child automatically becomes poor. That's transfer poverty. Well, I mean, we can take that, but let me define it for you. Transfer poverty, right, is when somebody's incompetence reflects on your competence such that the eventual outcome is total incompetence. So you may be competent because you have your vision, right? You have your vision. You know your destination. You've acquired the skill, the specific skill that is required for you to achieve your goal or get to your destination. But then somebody who was supposed to provide a platform, somebody who was supposed to give you a ride to go to your destination,